Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear viewers. Thank you for joining today. We want to seek the blessings of Radha Madhava, Radha Shyam Sundar Krishna Balaram, Bal Gopal Gonita, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled devotees. So we continue with the look at an overview of the Vedic literature, the different types of Vedic literatures that are there in order to understand how vast this philosophy is. So alongside the four Vedas, there is the Upavedas. And the Upavedas means following the Vedas. These are the following scriptures. Arthaved, the science of economics and sociology. Dhanurved, the science of defense, war, politics. Gandharva, which is the art of music, dance, song, and Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is one of the Upavedas, which is the holistic medical science. These are smaller compositions, each are attached to one of the four main samhitas, namely the Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva, respectively. Unfortunately, most of these compositions are difficult to find, except for the Ayurveda, the majority of which are still available, but not all of its original text. So Ayurveda is a huge science, which is geared towards improving the health, physical health and mental health of everyone. And Ayurveda is still very prominent in Bharat, especially in Gujarat. There's a very nice university in Jamnagar, and they're training doctors to become specialists in Ayurveda, and very nicely done, actually. Then there's the Vedangas. Vedanga literally means the limbs of the Vedas. Anga means a limb. There are 6 in number, just like the limbs of the body. They perform various supportive and augmenting functions in the study, preservation, protection of the Vedas and the Vedic traditions. The 6 Vedangas are Shiksha, Chanda, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Jyotish, and Kalpa. So we'll have a little look at these. These subjects were an integral and essential part of ancient Vedic education system, aimed to promote an all-round development of the students with a better understanding of the Vedas and Vedic practices. Vyakarana is a science of Sanskrit grammar. Without this, it is easy for a person to mistranslate the real meaning or purport of the Vedic mantra. So these Vedangas are to help with the Vedas, to recite them properly, understand them properly. Nirukta provides the explanation of the Vedic words. These are words with the Vyakarana to understand. These are used, with the Vyakarana to understand the exact meaning. Okay, of the Sanskrit words, to make sure the Vedic Samhita mantras are not misunderstood. Then there's the Shiksha. Shiksha is the science of correct pronunciation of Vedic mantras, such as intonations, duration, and the accent on a word or syllable. It's extremely precise. And if you get it wrong, it can change the whole meaning of that word or mantra. This will determine how one sings each mantra. Differences in the pronunciation of mantra can also change its meaning and the outcome of the ritual. This is one of the reasons why the old Vedic rituals are no longer recommended for this day and age. The problem is that this is difficult to learn, and almost all books on the topic have become lost. So in Kali Yuga, really it's very hard to follow the Vedic injunctions in relation to the mantras performing. I mean, these mantras are very powerful. And the Brahmins, I mean, they were so powerful, these mantras, that they could make a dead man alive. Or they could churn the body of a dead man and produce things from it through these mantras. So now there's no qualified Brahmins, really. And it's very hard to put into practice what is in the Vedic scriptures in relation to mantras, etc. Chandas is the science of correctly emphasizing the meter of the Vedic verses according to the division of parts or and letters and the correct pronunciation of the words. The Vedic mantras are also named according to its parts. Jyotish is the science of Vedic astrology. This was used for a couple of reasons. Primarily, it was for establishing the correct position of the stars and planets at certain times, such as one's birth and their effects for predicting one's future life. It was also for calculating the best times to begin special activities such as Vedic rituals. There are many books on Jyotish, but most have now become lost, leaving but several left to study. Well, there's not many left to study, but there are still some experts who know the science of Jyotish. They can predict the future. Kalpa, so this is the sixth of the Vedangas, is a science of performing the rituals intended for the proper application of the Vedic texts. There are numerous sets of Kalpa sutras composed by various rishis which systematically describe about the various religious activities and ceremonies like yajna, oblations, marriage and sacred thread ceremonies, etc., propounded by the Vedas. So these are 6 limbs which assist, okay, good, here we go, which assist the reading of the Vedas in a proper way, describe pronunciations, and the meter is correct, etc. But very hard. So now we want to look at the Smriti side. So we've looked at the Shruti side in a little bit of detail. Well, not much, but just a little bit. Now we want to look at the Smriti side. What is there which can help us in our spiritual advancement? Firstly, there's the Sutras, including Nayan and Vedanta. Sutras clarify the Vedic principles so that a person can focus on the ways for attaining a good life now and in the next life. They provide logical codes of rules for the Vedic rituals and worship used along with the Vedas and explain the purpose and meaning of the rituals. It is especially meant to help householders regulate and spiritualize their daily lives. So this is our position. We are living in this material world. We have duties to perform. We have household obligations, which perhaps bind us to this world. So what these sutras do is they help formulate a way to live so that we don't become entangled and we can, as he says, spiritualize our daily lives. The Vedanta Sutra is meant more for those who had grown tired of materialistic existence and are ready to retire and seriously engage in spiritual pursuits. Atato Brahma Jignasa. This is a very important injunction. Who am I? Who am I? Very important point. So the Vedanta Sutra is for those who really have had enough of this material world. But again, these are pretty challenging scriptures or sutras to get one's head around. It takes some doing. And in Kali Yuga, we don't have the patience. Simply don't have the patience. Next, Itihas is. This is the historical scriptures. They help explain the rituals of the Vedas and the highly compressed philosophy of the Vedanta Sutras by using historical events of the universe and factual stories of many great sages, demigods, and so forth. Included in the Theasis is the Mahabharata, written by Srila Vyasadeva. It is an historical epic about the great kingdom of Bharatvarsh. So I think everybody will be very familiar with the Mahabharata. Probably everybody has read or watched maybe a series on the Mahabharata. A wonderful series was done a few years ago, which seemed to be very accurate. Mahabharata contains 110,000 couplets or verses, making it the longest poem and the greatest epic in world literature. It is divided into 18 sections called parvas, such as the Adi Parva, etc. It is a treasure house of Bharatiya culture, holds within it a code of life force, ethical, social, and spiritual relations. Throughout this great epic, every sort of human situation is described and every kind of emotion is aroused. There is a saying that if it is not in the Mahabharata, then it is not to be found. The Mahabharata deals with the activities of the Pandavas and Krishna's relations, as well as topics that include the creation of the world, history of the sages, Dharma, politics, military strategies, proper behavior of a king, and ways of spirituality and devotion to God. It includes the essence of the Upanishads and the Vedic teachings, and most important, Bhagavad Gita. So Ramayana is also another. It's a similar epic consisting of 24,000 verses. It was first written during the time of Lord Ramachandra by the great poet Valmiki, which describes the life of Lord Ramachandra, an incarnation god, and his consort, Sita Devi. Many pastimes are included in this storehouse of wisdom that has been an inspiration for thousands of years to all people who have read it. In the incarnation of Lord Ramachandra, God appears as the perfect son, king, and ruler, and inspires all his subjects with the greatest love for him. The Itihasas are accepted as supplementary Vedic literatures. Acharyas such as Shankar, Ramanuj, Madhav have all presented the Itihasas as valid Vedic evidence and wrote commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. The Chandogya Upanishad 7.1.14 mentions that the Puranas and Itihasas as the fifth Ved. Yeah. So there are four Vedas, and the fifth Ved is described to be the Puranas and the Itihasas. So Puranas, we're going to go through them in a short while. The Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the Bhagavad Puran, which states in 1.4.20, the four divisions of the original source of knowledge, i.e. the Vedas, were made separately, but the historical facts and authentic stories mentioned in the Puranas are called the fifth Ved. The Vedas themselves not only accept the four Vedas, Upanishads, and Vedanta Sutra, but also the Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, and Ramayana and Puranas as being authentic Vedic literature. To be accepted as Vedic literature, it must present the same purpose as the original texts. So let's have a look at these Puranas. There's loads of them. We'll just do a brief, give a brief idea of what each Purana has. There's 18 main Puranas, there's 18 sub-Puranas, but we'll just look at the main Puranas. The Puranas are an important part of Itihas, being historical accounts of the universe, and contains many pastimes that took place on Earth, or even on other planets and dimensions, or in which superhuman powers are commonplace. The Puranas contain 5 basic subjects, and in some cases 10. So without these 5, it's not regarded to be a Purana. So what are the 5? The creation of the world, the destruction and recreation of the world, the genealogy of the patriarchs and the demigods, the reigns of the Manus, who are the avatars in each duration of time known as Manvantara, and the history of the solar and the lunar, the sun and the moon dynasties. Many of them also contain descriptions of the activities of incarnations of God, as well as the great sages and devotees of God. One thing that may seem somewhat confusing is that the stories are not in any particular chronological order. So if we read the Bhagavad Puran, it isn't a sequence of historical events. It can be a mixture of historical events taking place at different times. And it may be related at any time according to need. This is primarily due to the fact that the Puranas are generally related in a dialogue of question and answers. As we know, the Srimad Bhagavatam is a series of questions by a king called Parikshit Maharaj, and the answers were given by Shukadev Goswami, great sage. So this is primarily due to the fact that the Puranas are generally related in a dialogue of question and answers between sages and saints, or masters and disciples. Then the histories and stories are related in the answers, so they won't be in a chronological order. The Puranas explain more clearly and completely the spiritual philosophy found in the four original Vedic Ved Samhitas. Thus, they're specially meant for all classes of people. Since all men are not on the same level of consciousness and are spread over many different types of thinking, feeling, and desiring, the Puranas are divided so that any class of people can take advantage of them and utilize them to get out of material entanglement, either gradually or rapidly. So there's 18 secondary Upapuranas. These are the names: Sanat Kumar, Nrsimha, Naradiya, Shiva, Shiv Puran, Durvasasa, Kapil, Mannava, Oshanasa, Varuna, Kalika, Samban, Nandi, Saura, Parasara, Aditya, Maheshwara, Bhargava, Vashishta. The 18 Mahapuranas, so the main Puranas, are divided into three groups. 6 are in the mode of ignorance, Tamagun. It's not that the Puranas are in the mode of ignorance, but they're meant for people who are in the mode of ignorance. 6 of them are in Rajagun, mode of passion, and 6 of them are in Sattvagun, pure goodness or goodness. And out of the 6, one of them, Bhagavad Puran, is Shuddha Sattvagun, pure goodness, spiritual, completely spiritual. So let's review these, the Mahapuranas, very briefly. What are they? There's the Linga Purana, there's the Skanda Purana, Agni Puran, Matsya Puran, Kurma Puran, Shiv Puran, Brahma Puran, Brahmanda Puran, Brahma Vivarta Puran, Markandeya Puran, Bhavishya Puran, Vaman Puran, Varaha Puran, Narad Puran, Garud Puran, Padma Puran, Vishnu Puran, Bhagwat Puran, the last one. So these are the 12 Puranas, 18 Puranas. And it probably could take many, many years to study all of these Puranas. But the one that's the most important to study, the recommended one, which will benefit one to a great extent spiritually, is the Bhagavad Puran, the most important one. Because it contains information about spirituality to a much greater extent than any of the other Puranas. But we'll spend a few minutes at least looking at different Puranas. Linga Purana is, again, mode of ignorance, contains 11,000 verses, focuses mainly on the glories and activities of Lord Shiva, and specifically the manifestation of Shivling and its worship and fasting days for Shiva, description of the holy city of Kashi. The Kashi is a very important holy place. also known as Banaras, also known as Varanasi. So many of Lord Shiva's devotees go there to die. They leave their bodies in Kashi. It is said that when one leaves their body in Kashi and is devotee of Shiva, he will come and chant the name of Ram into the ear of the devotee at the end. It's a very powerful place. Shiva's 1,000 names is marriage to Parvati, the appearance of Ganesh, and that's the Linga Puran. Skanda Puran is the largest with around 81,000 verses. That's huge. Bhagavad Puran is 18,000 verses. And I think we did about 100 seminars on the 335 chapters of that wonderful scripture. And this Purana mainly talks about Vishnu and Shiva, including the holiness of places like Kedarnath, Badrikaksharam, Mathura, Kashi, Dwarka, and other holy places and sacred rivers. It also covers worship of Shiva, the austerities of Parvati, worship of Vishnu, and stories of prominent devotees, as well as activities and worship of Ram. Agni Puran, 15,000 verses. Agni, the fire god, explains to the sage Vashishta many spiritual instructions. So Agni is a very powerful devata. These include descriptions of the Lord's incarnations, the universal creation, the greatness of the Ganga, science of astrology, religious disciplines, yogic practices, Ayurveda, knowledge of Brahman, the art of bhakti or devotional service. Matsya, 14,000 verses. It's a conversation between Matsya, Lord Matsya, fish incarnation, and Manu. It includes many topics: description of the universal creation, family and descendants of King Ishwaku, Suryadev, Chandradev, along with 10 avatars of God. It also relates the principles of worship and fasting on holidays. And also the pastimes of Parvati and Shiva, their marriage and other stories. Kurma Puran is the occurrence of the day of Lord Brahma called Lakshmi Kalpa occurrences. So one day of Brahma is a very long period of time according to our earthly years. And many incarnations come and go in that day. So those are described. Some of those are described. The Lord's incarnation is Kurma. So Kurma is the tortoise incarnation. The Lord's incarnation as Kurma presents his teachings to the great sages. That's why it's called the Kurma Puran. These include the manifestation and maintenance of the universe, pastimes of Lord Krishna, the greatness of Kashi and other holy places, the effect of devotion, bhakti to God, and everyone should strive to attain, and the duties of Dharma for liberation. Finally, in the mode of ignorance, the Shiv Puran, or also known as the Vayu Puran, they're quite closely connected. 24,000 verses. Vayu, the wind god, describes the events of the present Kalpa or day of Brahma. It contains the usual information that a Purana explains, such as the process of creation, the incarnations of God, the Manvantaras, the glories of the Narmada river, and detailed accounts of Lord Shiva. So those are the 6 in the mode of ignorance. Now we look at the ones in the mode of passion. So Brahma Purana, 10,000 verses, includes the stories of Ramachandra, many stories of Lord Krishna, along with those of Surya, the sun god, and the birth of Parvati and their marriage to Shiva, and other aspects of Vedic sciences. So marriage of Shiva is very popular in many of the Puranas. Brahmanda Puran, containing 12,000 verses. This provides description of the future kalpas, days of Brahma. Included are description of the holy place of Nemi Sharanya and Bharatvash, and other places in the world. It also describes other planetary systems, Swayambhu Manu, and other Manvantaras. The activities of Lord Krishna and the dynasties of King Ikshvaku, Yadu, and Vrishni, along with the dynasties and characteristics of people in the age of Kali. There are also descriptions of creation and annihilation of the universe. Then we have the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, 18,000 verses. This Purana is known for information it provides about Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva, and shows their unity. And it also includes the basic topics of most Puranas, such as account of the universal creation. It also provides 129 chapters of many stories of pastimes of Radha and Krishna, how to worship him. So this Purana actually has got a lot of information about the pastimes of Krishna. It also discusses Golok, the divinity of Krishna, and the appearance of Radha, and numerous descriptions of her, the birth and marriage of Tulsi, the story of Brinda, and more. There are also accounts of Narad going to Lord Shiva's abode, and receiving instructions along with the activities of Ganesh, Kartikeya, Pashuram, and others. Markandeya Puran is the next one. 9,000 verses. Here we find the conversation between the sages Markandeya and Jaimini. A wide range of topics are discussed, a few of which include Lord Balaram's pilgrimage, when he refused to take part in the war of Kurukshetra. Stories of Draupadi's 5 sons, Dattatraya's incarnation of the Lord, the lineage of Vaivasvata Manu, stories of Lord Ram, Krishna incarnations, and various spiritual instructions. So these are the last 2 in the mode of passion. So Bhavishya Puran contains 14,000 verses. This deals with the characteristics of Brahma, Dharma, worship of Vishnu and Shiva for worldly prosperity as well as liberation, and information about Surya. There are also instructions for religious discipline, charity, etc. There are descriptions of the kings and characteristics of future of this age of Kali. However, there are now parts of this Purana, namely the 5th section, that are completely lost. So some of these Puranas are there, but some of them are lost. Vaman Puran, 10,000 verses, describes the occurrences that take place in the day of Brahma, called Kurma Kalpa. It relates the fighting between the demigods and the demons, Daksha's unfortunate sacrificial ritual, the activities of Goddess Durga and Parvati, greatness of Vishnu, and the conversation between Prahlad and King Bali. Prahlad is the grandfather of King Bali, as well as the activities of Lord Krishna and his devotees. So we can stop there today and look at the other 6 Puranas, which are in the mode of goodness, in a little bit of detail tomorrow. Any questions, any comments?
Yes, Prabhuji, I have one question.
Oh, Karuna.
Yeah, why are the Puranas classified as in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness?
Yes, very good. Essentially, it is for the type of devotee that reads those Puranas. So what they do is, if one is in the mode of ignorance, then the 6 Puranas which we talked about right at the beginning, Linga, Skanda, Agni, Matsya, Kurma, and Shiva, it's meant for those devotees who may not have a great appreciation of spirituality. But what these Puranas does is it's not, they will give that practitioner guidance how to move from mode of ignorance to the next mode of passion. So they these 6 Puranas in the mode of ignorance guides their readers to move to the next higher mode, basically. And similarly, those which are in the mode of passion, those 6 which are in the mode of passion, which is the Brahma Purana, Brahmanda Purana, Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Markandeya, Vaivishya, and Vaman. They also do a similar exercise, but they bring the practitioner, the reader, from the mode of passion to the mode of goodness. That's the principal reason why they are put in these categories. But the subject matters of the Puranas are very, very similar. They talk about creation, they talk about the incarnations. So it's quite difficult when you're reading. I've read this one, Brahma Vaivarta Purana, which is a lot of pastimes about Radha and Krishna. Now, when you're reading it, you can't actually distinguish with that Purana from other Puranas, like even the Bhagavad Purana, because it's got so many pastimes of Lord Krishna. So for us, it's a little hard to understand the differences between the Puranas. But this is what the sages have distinguished between the 18 Puranas. 6 are in the mode of ignorance, 6 in the mode of passion, 6 in the mode of goodness. So basically meant to elevate the reader to the next mode so that they can understand the next level of scriptures in a better way. Does that make sense, Corona?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. So it's mainly, it's not that the Puran is in the mode of
No,
passion
it's the
or
reader.
ignorance. It's that it's mostly for those who are in the different moods.
Yes, it's the reader who is
Yeah.
it's aimed
Yeah.
for.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Nice one, nice one. Thank you. Very good. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, we can stop there. Oh, yes, Paul. Yes, yes.
I mean, it was good. 2 days. I mean, I was out, so I came a little bit late. Hare Krishna, everyone. When you said, did you say 18?
18 Puranas.
18 Puranas.
Yes.
Are these Puranas the one you were talking yesterday?
No, that's different. These are, one of them is the same we talked about, Bhagavad Puran,
Yeah.
but we will talk more about that tomorrow. So we've talked about 12, we've given a very brief idea about 12 of the Puranas and 6
And this,
tomorrow.
yeah, and these 6 and well, the 12, all of you said, are they still the same thick books?
Yes, yes. And most of them, a lot of them, they've been translated. You can get a copy of them. Some of them have been lost over the years, but many of them you can get translations. Yes.
Okay, your original, they are in Tamil.
Not necessarily, mainly in Sanskrit.
Yeah,
Or
Sanskrit.
Yeah, Sanskrit.
Sanskrit or Hindi, yeah?
Yeah, not Hindi necessarily, because they were written long time back, even before. So Sanskrit is the language that they would have used. Yes.
They've used, but it is translated in
Translated
English.
Hindi, English. Yeah, yeah.
Are you going to do each of them, or are you doing
No.
only briefly?
Yeah, very briefly, because most of what they cover is covered by the Bhagavad Puran. And the Bhagavad Puran we have done in a lot of detail, 100 seminars we did. So that
Yeah,
was,
so all these Purans are still in the Bhagavad.
yes, I mean, yes, the knowledge we get from the Bhagavad Puran will be more than what we get from the other Puranas. Yes.
And all the little bits are from all 18 Puranas together.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's all right. Well, it's then I think it's carry on as you are. I'm taking interest in it, but now I'm finding it bit difficult. But at present, yeah, I told you before. Sometimes I find difficult, but it's good that even if you're making us understand briefly of all of them, which is very good.
It's good to
Yes.
know. Yeah, it's good to know. It's good.
Yeah, it's good to know. That's all. Then if somebody asks, you can say that there are 18 Puranas, and some of the names you gave, Skanda, Anguni,
Yeah.
Atsu, Karuma, Siva, Brahma, which is good. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can stop.
Hare
there.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Just tell him to wait for me. Okay, 1 second. I'll just stop the recording.